Hello everyone, my name is Alfiandra Sabza. I am an MBA student at ITB School of Business and Management. In today's presentation, I would like to present an essay on title Microeconomic Barrier to Electric Vehicle Adoption in Indonesia. This essay will study about a comprehensive analysis of Indonesia EV ecosystem, current adoption rate, and the key barrier preventing the widespread electric mobility in Southeast Asia largest economy in Indonesia. Okay, we can start about the Indonesian electric vehicle transition context and also the importance. Indonesia has recognized the strategic importance of EV to reduce fuel import, lower greenhouse gas emission, and also stimulate the domestic manufacturing. According to the International Energy Agency 2023, EV could reduce global CO2 emission by nearly one-third if widely adopted by 2050. In Indonesia, the presidential already issued the regulation number 55 into year 2019 and also number 79 in year 2023 underscored that the government commitment to build a comprehensive EV ecosystem with ambitious target. The national target are 2 million electric vehicle motorcycle by year 2025 and 400,000 electric car by year 2035, domestic battery supply chain, and also the public charging infrastructure. Despite the progress of the policy framework that already issued by the government, the actual EV adoption in Indonesia remains significantly below the government target. By the first semester in 2025, the cumulative battery electric vehicle car sales reached only 35,000 units, less than 9.5% of total car sales during this period. And also the progress for the charging infrastructure, the public charging station, or we call it the SPKLU, reached about 3,700 unit by the end of March 2025. We have the data statistic for the vehicle sales in Indonesia during year 2020 until 2024. This data divide or we separated into two category. First is the four-wheel vehicle and second is for the two-wheel vehicle. We can see that the sales for the BEV, battery electric vehicle, in the four-wheel category is increased about almost 3,400%, yeah, from 2020 with the 125 units sold to the 2024 with 43,000 units sold during this year. And for the two wheels category, the increase of sales for the BEV two wheels vehicle is about 3,100% from 1,900 unit in 2020 to 63,000 unit in the 2024. The charging infrastructure in Indonesia also growth from year to year. For the SPKLU, that stand for Stasiun Pengisian Kendaraan Listrik Umum, and also for the SPBKLU, that stand for Stasiun Penukaran Baterai Kendaraan Listrik Umum. The SPKLU unit growth was significant. By the end of 2024, total almost 3,200 units that already operate across Indonesia, increased by 300% from 1,000 unit in year 2023. The home charging services also rose about 300% to 28,000 units that already installed within many households in Indonesia. However, based on the distribution table, the distribution of charging station for the SPKLU was very uneven, yeah. more than 70% of the SPKLU in 2023 remain concentrated in the Java Island. The Indonesian government has target and roadmap for the EV adoption in Indonesia. By the end of year 2030, the government commit to electrify all their government fleet from internal combustion engine to the battery electric vehicle, and also increase the local content requirement for the BEV up to 80%, and build and operate over 30,000 public charging stations. And the Ministry of Industry also launched an EV industrial roadmap which introduced the fiscal incentive for the motorcycle and also the tax exemption for the battery electric vehicle. And as we know, for the commercial EV market and product availability in Indonesia, we know that Indonesia EV market is still in early stage with limited product variety and concentration in the compact vehicle segment. An example for the Wuling REV. The Wuling REV is the first small compact battery electric vehicle that already introduced in late 2022. It became the most sold of EV vehicle in 2023 for over 70%. Other local brand and type car already assembled in Indonesia, such as Hyundai Ioniq 5 and also MG4 EV. And many new Chinese brand for the BEV like BYD, Neta, and Chery also introduce and commit to sell their vehicle in Indonesia. But it still lack of diversity for the type of the car, such as a family size SUV and also commercial utility electric vehicle. There are 6 key microeconomic barriers to EV adoption in Indonesia. First is the high upfront cost. Second is the insufficient charging infrastructure. The third is information asymmetry. The fourth is limited product availability. The fifth is a lack of after-sales support. And the last one is the uncertain resale value. The first barrier is the high upfront cost. The most commonly cited barrier is the high initial purchase for the battery electric vehicle. BEV in Indonesia are almost 30 and up to 100% more expensive than the internal combustion engine counterpart. An example for the Wuling REV. The price for the Wuling REV is about 240 million rupiah versus the conventional vehicle with the price ranging from 160 until 119 million rupiah. And also the Indonesian consumer prioritize purchase price over the long-term saving. And the last one is the bank reluctant to offer the EV specific credit scam due to the uncertainty in residual value. And based on the IESR study year 2025, the BEV has about 78% for the upfront cost, while the cost is less than while the cost for the long-term operation is less than the non-BEV vehicle. Okay, the next barrier are the insufficient charging infrastructure and also the information asymmetry. First is for the charging infrastructure. It's very challenging because almost 70% of the SPKLU that already operate in Indonesia concentrate in Java Island. Many electric vehicle user lack of home charging access, especially in the apartment. And also in Indonesia is very few for the fast charging unit and also the uneven geographic development in Indonesia. And the last one is the limited practical for the middle class and rural population. And for the information asymmetry issue, the first is the many consumer could not correctly identify the difference between the battery electric vehicle or the hybrid vehicle. And over half of the consumer believe that is needed to replace the battery in the battery electric vehicle within 3 or until 5 years from its operations. And also the many consumer unaware of the government incentive for the battery vehicle. And the last one is the fragmented messaging between the OEM, government agency, and also the dealership to introduce their product for the battery electric vehicle. The next barrier are the limited product availability and also the after-sales support. For the product availability, there are some constraints such as for the models for the BEV car that primarily target urban middle class users that live in the big city. And also the gaps in multi-passenger family vehicle and the commercial fleets that the choice for the type of this BEV car is very limited. The third is about the range for the BEV, such as for the Wuling REV that already the most sold EV vehicle in 2033. The range is about 200 until 300 kilometer. That it was very insufficient for the intercity travel. And the other is about the international brand that hesitant to launch a broader EV portfolio in Indonesia, and also the delay for the localization of EV production that increase the cost of ownership in the battery electric vehicle. And for the after-sales support, it has some more challenges. The first is the most workshop not equipped for high voltage system, and the maintenance concentrated in a few authorized service center that mainly located in the big city in Indonesia. And the third is about the battery related concern. It's about the degradation, replacement cost, and also the warranty. And also in Indonesia is very limited for the technical training for the electric vehicle mechanic. And the last one is the no national certification system for the independent workshop to handle the battery electric vehicle car. Okay, the last barrier for the EV adoption in Indonesia is the uncertainty in resale value. As we know that major consumers in Indonesia, when they buy a new vehicle, they always ask uncertain about the resale value of their vehicle, or they commonly ask themselves, tar kalau beli ini, kalau dijual lagi harganya berapa ya? That's why this habit will influence the EV adoption in Indonesia. There were some issue in the resale value for the electric vehicle. The first is the immature second-hand market. EV in Indonesia lack of mature second-hand market, making resale value a major concern for the prospective buyer. Second is the unclear the depreciation trend. Unlike the conventional ICE vehicle or the internal combustion engine vehicle, EV depreciation trend are unclear due to the absence of reliable data on battery degradation and also the long-term performance. The third is the financial institution reluctant. Bank and lender are hesitant to provide leasing, refinancing, or collateral-backed credit for the EV because they lack of standardized residual value framework. And also the last one is the no battery health certification like Rencana Market that help build trust in used electric vehicle. We can learn the EV adoption from some country that already advanced in the EV adoption. First is China. China represents the world's most successful case for the EV adoption, accounting for over 60% of global EV sales in 2023. A core driver in this success is the country's state-led infrastructure investment strategy, including a mandatory EV charging requirement for new building, large-scale public fast charging deployment, and also the battery swapping ecosystem for two-wheeler and logistic vehicle. Furthermore, China has implemented robust industrial policy tools such as purchase subsidy, tax exemption, and direct grant to local manufacturers that help create economy of scale especially in the battery production and vehicle assembly. The second is the Norway. Norway demonstrate how demand-side behavioral policy, when implemented consistently over time, can create a consumer pull for the electric vehicle. Over 80% of new cars sold in Norway in year 2023 were electric. It was supported by the fiscal instrument such as zero VAT, exemption from road tolls, free parking, and also access to bus line. It is consistent messaging through media. The last one is Thailand. Thailand, as we know, has become a regional manufacturing hub for the electric vehicle by implementing a clear EV roadmap policy, investment promotion, privilege from the Board of Investment, and fast-track battery recycling legislation. And also in Thailand, focus on user attitude and the social norm to survey the behavioral from the consumer need in the battery electric vehicle. Okay, let's continue for the government response in Indonesia. The current government initiative are tax incentive, VAT reduction, import duty exemption, and also luxury tax breaks. Second is the direct consumer subsidy for the electric motorcycle. The local manufacturing target is about 60% of local content by 2027. Next is the infrastructure program through PLN and a private partner. And last one is the pilot green loan and EV leasing through a state-owned bank. The gap for the implementation are such as many consumers unaware of the available incentive, and also the limited vehicle option for the middle income family, and the infrastructure planning remain reactive, not anticipatory. And the fourth is the weak effect of subsidy and the pilot program. And the last one is the uneven geographic distribution of benefit for all consumer in Indonesia. And the last, to close the adoption gap and build a truly inclusive electric vehicle ecosystem that can overcome the adoption barrier for the EV in Indonesia, these following policy action are recommended. The first is expand direct to consumer incentive by introduce direct cash rebate or down payment subsidy for the EV purchase, particularly for the mass market such as for the MPV or SUV segment. Second is accelerate infrastructure decentralization by deploy charging stations strategically outside Java using a public-private partnership model with performance-based subsidy. The third is strengthen the consumer education by develop a national EV information portal with real-time data on charging station, subsidy, and total cost ownership calculator. The fourth is broaden the product portfolio by align import duty exemption with model gaps, prioritizing affordable EV with high seating capacity and extended range. And the last one is certify after sales network. It is by establish the national standard for the EV mechanic and mandate battery health certificate to support a stable second-hand market. By adopt all of these five recommendation, we hope that the EV penetrate growth in Indonesia will increase simultaneously, and the trust for the consumer to buy and to live with the battery electric vehicle can grow smoothly in the next year. Okay, I think that all about my essay for the topic about the microeconomic barrier to the EV adoption in Indonesia. Thank you for your attention. See you.